Hello friends, happy Thursday. It is time for our weekly card class. My name is Rachel Trout and every Thursday I come live and share a card class with you. Today we are using the Peekaboo Forest Bundle, which is super cute. Each card that I made with it was cuter than the last, I think. So I hope you love the cards today. I used some of my other favorite products on the cards too, which I think helped the cuteness factor. Before we get started, I have a couple of reminders for you. So every week when I do the card class, you can get the card kit for free that week with your order. So you can shop now through Tuesday with me. I will put a shopping link in the description of the video when I'm done. And when you spend more than $50 before tax and shipping, then I send you the card kit to make the 3 cards that we're going to make today. And you can buy anything you want with your $50. The awesome thing now is that you also earn Stampin' rewards. So you earn 10% back that you can use on another order. So with a $50 order, you'll earn $5 as kind of like a coupon to spend the next time you shop. So when you are shopping to get the card kit, make sure that you are spending $50. That's before tax and shipping. And then if you are using any Stampin' rewards, make sure your total amount that you're spending is still at least $50. That helps me. It helps Stampin' Up to pay me to send out those kits to you. So I appreciate that when you order with me, and I hope you love the card kits. If you have gotten one before, you can shout out in the comments how much fun those are to put together. Also, Stampin' Up has offered free shipping this week. So it started yesterday and it continues through tomorrow. So you have today and tomorrow left. You get free shipping on orders over $75. So you could get the card kit and get your free shipping. Now is a great time to stock up on cardstock. The price is going up on May 6th from $11.50 to $14. So it's kind of a big increase. So that is what I did. I bought a bunch of cardstock. And I stocked up before the prices go up. Adhesives, envelopes, anything on the last chance section of the online store that you want to get before it's gone. I have to show you one thing that we're using today. We're using this Daffodil Delight ribbon. Super pretty and springy, and it's on the last chance list. It's on low inventory, so I think it's going to be gone soon. But make sure you check out that section of the store. Because there are some discounted items too, which is always fun. And then also this week I am running a buy one get one free sale, and it is with some of the retired stamp sets and bundles that I have, and I am really trying hard to clean out my craft space. So if you shop that sale, it will help me out. Now you can't double dip. You can either choose to get the card kit for free with your order, or you can choose to shop the buy one get one free sale. So there's no more host codes or anything. So if you're shopping my buy one get one free sale, then I know that that is your choice. And if you're not shopping that, then you're going to get the card kit with your order. So that's exciting. My buy one get one sale goes through Tuesday, but if you want to take advantage of the free shipping from Stampin' Up, you have to shop by tomorrow. And I will put links to all of those things in the description of the video when I'm done. One last thing before we flip the camera down. Next week, I am going on field trips with my kids both Wednesday and Thursday, which are my 2 days that I can do videos. And so I will not be live next week, but I do have a pre-recorded video for you. And so I hope you will still come back. It will post at 12 o'clock, just like our normal time for our live, but it will be pre-recorded. So make sure you come back and watch, because sharing a link, it doesn't always show up in your feed, especially as much as a live video. So make sure you set yourself a reminder so that you can see it. And if you are on my email list, I will be emailing it out to you. So that is another way to make sure that you see everything. All right, let's flip the camera down here, and we will take a look at the Peekaboo Forest Bundle. Have you guys seen this one? It is another one of our online exclusive products, so you won't find it in a catalog, but it is super cute and definitely worth a look. All right, let me see if the camera is okay. I don't want it to fall down while we are working here. Okay, so the Peekaboo Forest Bundle includes a stamp set and dies. These dies are a whole lot of fun. So we've got one that cuts out the tree, and it cuts out the center too. And then this extra piece will cut out another center if you want. There are leaf cutouts. This cuts out like a tree line, or I've seen it used as grass also. These will cut out the little leaves in the stamp set. We've got a branch that cuts this out. And then the woodpecker. And the cool thing about these is it cuts a little tab and cuts into the sides of their paws, so the little critters can be peeking out of the tree or peeking out of whatever you want them to be peeking out of. This is a really fun set, and we're going to use most of the dies and stamps today so you can really see how it works. Now you'll notice this set does not have any sentiments, so I pulled out the Pattern of Friendship stamp set that we used last week because I think some of these sentiments go really well with the images in this set, and I love this one. So I wanted to use it one more time. And so those are the two we will be using together today. All right, I am going to show you our first card. Now, if you are watching live or later, make sure that you say hi in the comments. Every week I draw 3 random winners from the comments to send the 3 cards that I'm making. And so if you would like to get one of these fun cards sent to you, make sure you are commenting and interacting. All right, this first one has the most details of all 3 cards today, but I wanted to really show you how the dies and the stamps in this set work together. So if you order and get the card kit, this is exactly what you will get in your card kit. Everything is cut and ready for you and in an envelope, so they're all sorted. You use your own embellishments and ribbon and your own stamps and ink. So you can add on any of those things to your order that you are needing, or you can substitute with things you already have at home. But today we're using these adhesive-backed heart sequins again because these are on the last chance list also, and I love them, and I wanted to use them one more time. And then I already showed you the Daffodil Delight ribbon, and that is on low inventory, so if you want it, I have a feeling once it goes out, it's gone for good. So those are the 2 things we are using today. All right, for this one, I have a thick basic white card base. That's 5.5 by 8.5, and we'll fold that in half. And now I also could not resist using this paper one more time. This is the Cute as Can Be Designer Series paper. This was part of our scrapbooking release in January. It is super cute with the bees, but I thought some of the colors and patterns would work well with this bundle, and I love this paper. This is, most of the time with Designer Series paper, it takes me forever. Like, I don't know if I've ever used an entire package of Designer Series paper. I'll use it, and then I'll move on to something else, and then it'll sit in my craft room. This pack, I had to kind of scrimp and cut carefully to have enough pieces for this card class today because I have used almost all of it. I love it that much, so it's a good one. This piece is 5.25 by 4. And then I have a piece of white that is 3.25 by 4.5, and we're just going to layer that on top of our Designer Series paper. Like this. Okay, now we're going to do our tree. So I have a piece of pecan pie here, and we are going to stamp that tree in pecan pie ink. Now, if you want, there is another piece of the tree right here. So you can make your tree taller, and you'll see when we die cut it, the die doesn't actually cut the top. It just cuts on the side. So you can make your tree as tall or as short as you would like using that extra piece. We are just going to use this piece. And, I probably should have stamped a little more up here because you can kind of see where it cuts off there. But I didn't. So if you wanted to, you could stamp that extra piece on the top. I didn't get a block ready for that one, so I'm not going to do that today, but you sure could add to your tree at the top. With these bigger stamps, I like to turn the ink pad around like this and ink them up this way. So I'm using Pecan Pie ink on Pecan Pie cardstock. And we are going to stamp our tree, make sure we've got that real good. All right, now we are going to die cut. So I double checked this before I started, and this should fit just barely into our mini machine. And I think my piece of cardstock is maybe a little big. So I am going to trim a little off so it for sure fits through there. But the die itself actually will fit in the mini machine, which is nice. And so this is the largest die in the set. So all of the dies in this set fit in the mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. All right, so let's get that lined up. We will send it on through. And it just fits. Hello, Laura. Thank you for joining me today. We are just getting started on our first card, so you have not missed too much. Okay, let's move that out of the way. Now, for my card today, I am going to use this center cutout piece and put it back in there. Because I thought if you have a creature, you know, hanging out of the tree, they're inside the tree and the background is still that brown color. So let's see, I used my scissors. Where did I set them? I need to trim this. All right, I know I had the scissors. You guys know I had them too. Well, I put my die cutting machine on top of them. You just saw me use them, right? Okay, so like I said, it doesn't cut the top. So you will have to trim that off like that. Okay, so let's bring our card back in. I'm going to pop this up with dimensionals. That way we can tuck our little guy in there. So put some on the top and some on the bottom. And I'm just going to make sure I cover the white edge of my cardstock over here. And then this piece, I'm just going to fit back in here. And this piece I'm actually going to glue because I want that flat. All right, I think it went this way. Here we go. So if you use the glue, you have a little wiggle room to get it exactly where you want it in there. Okay. Next piece is our tree. Now I found this was easier to die cut first, and then there is this long stamp that you can stamp along the border. I tried stamping and die cutting first, and it didn't work as well. So that is my tip for using that. And then these are the two little leafy dies, so you can kind of pop out the leaves for a little bit of dimension if you want, which I think is super fun. And so I've already die cut this one ahead of time, but this is Old Olive and it is 2.5 by 4. And then I just use that edge die to go along the edge of the bottom. And I use the two leafy dies up here. So now we're going to use our Old Olive ink. Hi Joan, thanks for joining. On my phone, I can only see like one comment at a time. So if you also joined in and said hi, I'm sorry if I missed it. Okay. So this will kind of line up, and since it's photopolymer, you can see. Now, I don't know why I had trouble stamping and then die cutting, but it seemed to work better for me this way. So that is my recommendation. And see there, it looks just about perfect. Okay, then we're going to add a few more leaves in here with a little leaf stamp. And you can just add them wherever you want on this tree canopy. Let's see. So there, I don't know. I didn't add this many last time, but I feel like I want to add more this time. Okay, there we go. Now we've got enough leaves. Joan says she thinks this set is so cute, and I very much agree. All right, so we are going to add this with dimensionals too, and it's going to line up with the top edges of our designer series paper. And I don't know if I put my... All right, I'm going to have to be very careful because I must have cut this one slightly different, and you can almost see the edge of the tree, but I think it's going to be okay. It will be close enough that it will not be too noticeable. But maybe I cut more off of it with my edge die than I did the first time. It's very possible. Okay, so I'm going to line that up just with the edge of the designer series paper. And you know what? Right here, our sentiment's going to cover that little bit, so it'll be okay. Okay, now let's stamp our little, I think this is a hedgehog. You can correct me if I'm wrong. But I'm going to stamp him in Memento Black ink so that I can color with Stampin' Blends. And he's going to have a little tab on the bottom when we die cut him. So make sure you leave enough room for that when you stamp him. Okay, and then for my colors, I have light pecan pie and then dark and light crumb cake. And the reason I am not using dark pecan pie is because I could not find my dark pecan pie. I obviously need to do some cleaning, but I did not find it. So here is my trick. If I had my dark pecan pie, I would be doing this with the dark, but I don't. So we are going to do the light, and first we're coloring all of his little hairs here. Hairs, spikes, I don't know. Then I'm going to go over it and just color over the whole thing. And then we're going to go over those again, because every time you add another layer of color, that's going to appear to be a little bit darker, even though we use the same marker. Then I will have colored over those 3 times, and so they will appear darker than the rest. So that is a little trick. And it works pretty well if you want to get different shades and just use one marker. And do you see how that looks a little bit darker? All right, he's pretty cute, huh? There we go. And let's see, I'm also going to use this to color by his mouth and his nose. And then we're going to switch to the crumb cake. So I used my dark crumb cake and colored in his ears. And then just down the sides of his face and around the top, kind of creating an outline. And then we're going to fill in with the light crumb cake. As I've been using my Stampin' Blends, I've been coloring, and I keep thinking, this one feels like maybe it doesn't have so much ink. So I might be doing another free shipping order for some Stampin' Blends that are running low. I've had to replace a few sets recently. I guess I have been enjoying coloring more, which is okay. All right, I'm just going over where the dark and the light meet again. Like I said, it adds another layer of color, and it also helps the colors blend. And you can go down here a little bit. That's going to tuck into the tree, so it's not a huge deal. Okay, let's die cut this little guy. And we'll grab the die for him. And I just want to make sure his little paws are lined up. And then the top, it's not as big of a deal. Every time I've done it, I've wound up with a little edge of white around his head, which I think is fine. And you could fill that in and color it after you die cut if you want, but I thought the little bit of white looked okay and helped him pop off the tree a little bit more. Oh, and I left him over here. Okay, so now let me show you what this die did. because this is really cool. So it has this little tab, but then it little cuts into his paws so that you can tuck him into the tree like that. Isn't that cute? So you can put adhesive on that little tab if you want, but I think it holds well enough if we just put a few dimensionals and then tuck him in. It's so funny, I've been doing things on this glass mat. Do you guys remember when my cherry cobbler marker exploded on me a few weeks ago? And I scrubbed to see if I could get some of the cherry cobbler speckles off, and they just were not coming off. But now that I've been working on here, it's totally coming off on the backs of my projects, which I think is funny. So maybe it'll all disappear eventually. Okay, so there he is in the little tree. And then I have a basic white circle here. This I punched with our 1 3/4 inch circle punch. And we are going to stamp our sentiment in Petunia Pop. Thinking of you brings a smile to my face. Stamp that right in our circle. We are also going to add this with a few dimensionals. And we'll make sure we cover up that corner of the tree there, like that. All right, then we have to finish off with some ribbon and embellishments because I don't know if I can make a card without those, and they just make it extra special. So we are going to have a bow of our Daffodil Delight ribbon. Trim our ends. All right, and I'm just going to put that at the top of my circle here. And then we will finish off with a few of our heart sequins. I love, love, love these heart sequins. We used them last week too because I love them so much and I wanted to keep using them before they are out of stock. Little one right there. Okay, so that is our first card. Super cute, I think. I thought I am drawn to the cutesy little animals sets, and so I love this one. Joan says she just ordered the yellow ribbon. Yep, it's a good one, and I actually haven't used it that much yet. I think it was out of stock for a while. I don't remember, or the paper that it coordinates with was out of stock, so I don't know. I haven't used it that much, and I thought we're going to use it today before it is gone. All right, so I have tucked this away to send to someone who is commenting, and we will go on to our second card. Now, how cute is this? I thought this sentiment was perfect to go with these little critters. Friends are the family you choose for yourself. They're obviously all different critters, just like you can have all sorts of different friends. They don't have to look like you, like your family, and I have lots of friends that I have chosen to be like family, so I thought that was really cute and perfect. All right, for this one we have an old olive card base, 5.5 by 8.5 and fold in half, and then another piece of our Cute as Can Be designer series paper. This piece is also 5.25 by 4. And I do have to say that I had not used the old olive patterns in that paper pack as much, so I thought old olive was a good color to go with the, the browns and the grays of the animals. And so that is why I used it. Okay, then we have another piece of old olive that is 3.25 by 4.25. And this white piece is 3 by 4. And this one, I meant to look up the name of this embossing folder. It's part of the Friends of the Ocean suite. So I think it's supposed to look like waves, but I just thought it would make a nice textured background for our little critters. And I'm sorry, I don't remember the name of it, but it's part of the Friends of the Ocean suite collection. So perhaps if you look that up, you will find what it is. Maybe it has the word waves in it. I am not even sure. I used to be so good about remembering the names of everything, and I don't know. Maybe that's because I used to spend time sitting and studying the catalog, and I wish I had time to do that, but I don't have as much time to sit and study the catalog or the online products as I would like, so I don't have all their names memorized anymore. Okay, then I have a shape that I cut with our nested essentials dies. I think I showed those to you last week. We are going to use pecan pie ink for our sentiment this time. Friends are the family you choose for yourself. And that should fit right here in the center. And then let's see. Yep, I think I can attach this. So we are going to add this with dimensionals because after we do our little critters, we are going to tuck them behind the sentiment. Okay, so I didn't put any up at the top here because that's where I want to tuck them in and I don't want them to run into the dimensionals. So I'm going to center this at the bottom. Then we'll move that out of the way, and I have a piece of white here we're going to use to stamp all three of the little critters. So we've got our little hedgehog. I think that's what he is. And again, remember to leave room at the bottom for those tabs. Then we've got our raccoon. And finally, we have got our bear. Okay. So we're going to color the hedgehog exactly the same way that we did on the first card. Make it easy on ourselves. So again, if I could find my dark pecan pie, I would do this with the dark, but we will just do several layers with the light and call it good. So while I'm coloring, you let me know in the comments what you are up to this week. Is anyone doing anything fun this week? I actually had a few days to work and get things done this week. The next 2 weeks are super, super busy, so I am trying to work ahead and get things done before it gets crazy. Should say after that it's crazy too, but the next 2 weeks in particular are really crazy for me. All right, and we'll go over these lines one more time. And then let's see, we have to do his nose yet in the pecan pie, and then we will switch to the crumb cake. All right. Oh, yep, his nose. I almost forgot. Or around his mouth. I guess his nose is black. All right, and then we will use our dark crumb cake to do just that kind of outline again. And finish with the light. Oh, that is gray, not brown. They all look very similar. I better read. Light crumb cake. All right. My goodness. Grays and browns, and I'll just have a little extra shading up by that ear. Gray is for a raccoon. All right. I don't think that looks too bad. Can't even tell. Okay, moving on to the raccoon, we are going to use Smoky Slate. And yes, I have my Smoky Slate. Okay, so I am going to color with my dark Smoky Slate the stripe down his forehead and then around his eyes. Now, if you wanted to, we have basic black Stampin' Blends markers too. If you use the dark, it will completely cover up the eyes that are stamped there. So you could use the light basic black for his eyes, and you could use the dark for the stripe if you wanted to. And then we're going to use light smoky slate for the rest of him. So it just depends how dark you want it. I thought I would just stick with the smoky slate, but you could use the black also if you wanted to. One of these, my brush end wasn't too good, so I've just been using the pen tip. Which just proves my point that I think I need to order some new sets of Stampin' Blends markers. Like I said, I placed an order yesterday and got lots of cardstock and ordered my card club stuff. But I've been adding more things to my cart today. So I think I'm going to have another free shipping order before free shipping is done. Do you do that? Order once and then order again, especially when they give us 3 days. I think that's almost worse than I spend more. That's probably the point, right? Okay, and then I have my light petal pink, and I am coloring in his ears and his little fingernails. All right, and then for the bear, we are going to use our light pecan pie again. Now, I would use dark for this if I could find my dark. So I'm going to go over this area a few times to make it darker. And then same with his ears and up here. We'll do kind of like the outline thing that we did with the hedgehog. And then we'll go back and color over, and then we can go over one more time if we want to make it even darker. Try not to go outside the lines. I usually maybe color a little bit slower when I am not on video, and I don't want to make you sit and watch me color all afternoon. But this is a set that you can color. I mean, you could stamp right on. Could stamp the bear on pecan pie cardstock. Then you wouldn't have to color him. You could stamp the raccoon on smoky slate and then just use your black to color in the stripes and the rings around his eyes. So that would work if you don't like to color. Okay, now we've got to die cut all of these guys. I don't know if I'm going to try and send them all through at the same time. I feel like that is a disaster waiting to happen. I was filming a video for a team event next weekend, and I was using a new bundle, and I sent 2 through at the same time, and totally, yeah, one totally moved and did not cut where I wanted it to, so. Oh, Joan says this blends are too expensive. You know what? They are. I haven't priced out other alcohol markers, but I do love that they coordinate with Stampin' Up colors, and I feel like overall they last me a long time, but I've been doing a lot of coloring. So like my crumb cake ones, I don't know if you noticed this, but this is even an older version because the words are different than this newer version. So my crumb cake ones I have had for a long time. So it's probably, I'm overdue for some new ones. I don't know. I can never get this to go back through the other way. The mini machine is a little more finicky than the big one. Here it goes. Hopefully not moving too much. Now you could send them all through at the same time. If you use washi tape or something to hold them in place, I definitely would send all 3 through at the same time, but I do not want to cut them in the wrong spot and then have to do it again. All right, last little guy through here. Oh, I don't have. So with the mini machine, you want your plates to kind of make an E. So the outer ones are sticking out farther than the middle one, if that makes sense. And I did not have it that way, so it did not want to go. Okay. Set that aside. Now we've got our 3 little critters here. let's see. All right, I'm going to put the bear in the middle, and just like on the first card, I don't think I need adhesive on the little tab. I'm just going to use dimensionals and tuck them in. Everything is expensive. Joan says she needs to marry Elon Musk. Well, you know what? Then you would have lots of money, I guess. Oh, yeah, everything is expensive. So, yeah, I went to the store yesterday, and a dozen eggs, the sale price was $5.49, I think, but the regular price was $8 for a dozen eggs. I just like to look at the prices of eggs. So we have quail that we are raising in our backyard, and so we are pretty much set on eggs, which is nice. I mean, they're not free. We have to pay to feed and take care of the birds, but I don't think I'm paying $8 for a dozen, or the equivalent of a dozen chicken eggs. So yeah, prices are ridiculous. I agree, Joan. Okay, so there are our little critters. Now we're going to tie a bow with our Daffodil Delight ribbon again. Trim our ends. Add this with a mini glue dot right at the bottom here. And then we're going to, of course, add a few of our hearts, because we love our friends that are like family. Right? Oops. All right, now just wait till you see the third card, because I think it's the cutest of all. Okay, but this one is pretty darn cute. There we go. So let's see. Joan says she paid $4.59 a dozen for eggs. Well, yeah, you know what? When I look at Sam's Club, I think theirs are under $4 a dozen, but you have to buy a lot, which I used to do before we would get them out of our backyard. Okay, ready for the third card? Check this one out. This one is probably the most simple, but I think it's the cutest. I mean, they're all cute. You can't go wrong with the cute little animals. And this adorable paper. Okay, for this one, we have a pool party card base, 5.5 by 8.5, folded in half. Then we have a piece of white that is 3 3/4 by 5. And then the petunia pop is just 1/8 of an inch bigger. So it's 3 7/8 by 5 1/8, just to add a little pop of color behind it. And we're just going to adhere all of those flat to our card base. Oh, thank you, Joan. I'm glad you like the cards today. Sometimes with these, I love the cutesy animal stamp sets, but sometimes I have trouble designing with them and creating with them, and I saw a few, I look for inspiration, and I saw a few samples, but there weren't a ton, and so it's like, all right, what am I going to do with this? Once I decided to use this paper, it was a little easier. Okay, I have punched 3 circles out of the Designer Series paper, and this time I used the 2-inch circle punch. And I had to put the bees in because, you know what, bears love honey. So I thought about putting in that honey pot pattern. That would have been cute too. Really, any of the patterns in the paper you could use for this. Oh, and I forgot. Well, good. I didn't put adhesive there because I'm going to have to tuck the bear in back there. All right, for our sentiment, I have this rectangle that I die cut with our textured notes dies. I think I used those last week too. And we are stamping in Petunia Pop ink. And thanks for being the best. I love the font on this. It's really cute. Okay, there's that. And then we've got to stamp our bear. So I have a little piece for him, and let's see, there's my Memento ink again. And remember to leave room for that tab at the bottom. And we are going to color him with Pecan Pie, just like on the last card. The pieces of the designer series paper that had the honey just made me think of Winnie the Pooh. That would be kind of cute, actually, if you colored this bear yellow like Winnie the Pooh. I just thought of that now. And then you could use the honey pot pattern. That would be super cute. And I think he would look like Winnie the Pooh if you colored him. Probably with like Daffodil Delight. We don't have Crushed Curry Stampin' blends. That would, man, I'm getting out of the lines. Oh well, it will be fine. Yeah, so probably Daffodil Delight Stampin' blends would make him look like Winnie the Pooh. Might have to try that. I probably won't have time, but I will keep that idea tucked away in my head. Maybe one of you can make him look like Winnie the Pooh, and then you can share it with all of us. I would love to see it. All right, I don't know how my coloring is on this guy. I think it will dry okay. I feel like I was fast and messy on him, but all right. We're gonna die cut him. Once the ink dries all the way, it sometimes looks better than you think. All right, we will get our little die for the bear. I might have to add some more color just to make him look nicer. I feel like he looks like I scribbled. Run him through. All right, let's maybe add just a little bit more color. Maybe I'll use the brush end. Oh, this was the one where the brush wasn't any good. I've used it enough. The tip end still works though. All right, he might just turn out darker than the other bear, and that's okay. All right, I think that looks a little better. We'll add another layer there. Okay, that's better, I think. Okay, I am going to tuck him behind this circle. And since the circle is not popped up with dimensionals, we don't want to pop him up either. Just put a little adhesive on the back and tuck him in there like that. Isn't that cute? And then this time I'm not even going to tie a bow with the ribbon. We're just going to loop it like this. You could tie a bow if that's easier for you. And I'm just going to loop it. And then if you had kind of pinch it in the center and you put a glue dot there, I mean, it looks like a bow, but we're going to cover it up with the sentiment anyways. The glue dot just helps hold it in place. And then we will add the sentiment over the top with our dimensionals. All right, just like that. And then to finish off, we will add some more hearts. This card is my favorite today. I will show them all to you again in a second, and then you can decide which one you like the best. At first, I don't know, something I didn't like about the first one. I'll tell you a story about that in a minute when I show it again. But now I think it's super cute, but this one is my favorite. All right, so there is our third card. Let's tuck that one in an envelope, and then we will take one more look at all of them. So here were our 3 cards today. Let me know in the comments which one is your favorite. So funny story about this card. So I said I almost used this whole pack of designer series paper. So I barely had enough to get my 2 pieces. This was one of the things I added to my shopping cart. for my next free shipping order. But anyways, I cut it and one side had like half of a circle punched out of it. So I had to cover that up. And then I was trying to think about where to put it, and I stamped the sentiment on this white layer first, and I didn't like that. So this whole corner has lots of things covered up on it, but it turned out really cute, I think. And it is growing on me. And then that's just cute too. So I don't know which one. Well, I do. This one's my favorite, but they're all really cute. So you tell me which one you like the best. All right. Remember, you can shop now through Tuesday and get the card kit for free with your order. Or you can shop my buy one, get one sale if you would rather do that. But definitely take advantage of that free shipping that is on through tomorrow. And remember, next week I will be recording a video. Or actually, I've already recorded it. It is scheduled to post at 12 o'clock Arizona time, the regular time. So make sure you come back and watch for that. It won't be live, but I have some fun cards to share with you. All right, have a great week, and I will see you again soon. Bye.